What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about essentially the 5 stages of grieving, or the 5 stages of grief, and consequently acceptance. Because I think that's where I'm at this point. So, what I mean by that is that I think I've just fully accepted, um, you know, being at Inkwell and how it's basically completely over, and I feel moderately detached from that, detached from dating, moderately detached from really all of it. That's just, how I feel right now. But let me go over it real quick. So there's five stages of grief. Not that y'all don't know what they are, obviously, but just gonna go through them real quick. So first one is denial, and that's essentially like, maybe someone makes a remark or something, someone looks at you a certain way, and you're just like, oh, I'm not ugly, or oh, I'm not fat, or oh, you know, they were crazy. It's not that, they don't like me or whatever. Um, and I think we've all experienced that. I know for me, um, I mean, I used to be more fat, and I didn't really realize I was gaining weight, and I ended up, uh, I didn't even really know. I didn't really realize, but I ended up having to buy like larger pants. What I was doing, I literally was wearing my pants with like the button unbuttoned and the zipper down like halfway, and just had my shirt like covering it or whatever, because I couldn't even zip it. And I mean, if that's not denial, I don't know what is, you know. But thankfully with that one, it is something I have control over, right? So I've lost a lot of weight. So that's good at least. Now, in other instances, there's some things that I can't change, and yeah, that's a whole nother story, right? Um, Anger, let's see. Honestly, I'm not really much of like an angry person myself personally. Um, Trying to think if I was ever angry about this. Maybe I was angry a long time ago when I got on online dating apps, and like, I went out and took some pictures of myself, and maybe I was a little like annoyed that I didn't really get any requests or whatever, or likes or whatever. Um, so it's like, oh, what? I'm not ugly, I'm a top quality guy, and I get on C, and then I get nothing. It's like, what? No, ah, you know. So it probably went something like that. It's hard to remember, but overall, I'm really not much of an angry person. I know that some guys get kind of angry, but I feel like I get more like sad than angry. But that's just me. And then stage three is bargaining. Let's see, maybe yeah. I guess it's like that. Really, we can just say it's like coping, right? You're just like coming up with like fake explanations for why you didn't get likes on Tinder, fake explanations for why you don't have a girlfriend. Like for example, like, oh, you know, I just haven't found the right one yet, or oh, once they get to know my personality, I'll should be able to do well, and oh, once I just take some better photos, and oh, once I get whatever job, or oh, once I whatever, right? And it's just like bargaining. So it's just like coping, like coming up with blue pill responses or just whatever other copes that you want to come up with, and excuses as to why you don't have a girlfriend. And I mean, we've all definitely done that. Gonna sneeze. Oh, um, yeah, we've all definitely done that, right? I mean, depending on when you came across the black pill. But I think that no one is born with this knowledge, so we're all going to have some sort of coping and bargaining before we come across this stuff, because you don't look this stuff up, right? Unless you want answers. And you don't look up answers unless you have questions. And you're not going to look up these questions unless you fall into one of two categories. One would be someone that's researching this topic, right? If they're in like the field of study or the field of psychology, or they're doing some sort of studying or something like that. And then two is just like if they're trying to get answers to questions of their life, like why do I not have a girlfriend? What's wrong with me? Why are women not liking me? Why are girls not attracted to me? Why am I getting rejected? That's how you come to some of these things. And before you start asking those explicit questions, you're going to be coping and bargaining, being like, oh, it must be because of this. And then you start looking it up. Oh, it's actually because I'm ugly. It's actually because, technology advancement. It's actually because of massive, changes as far as opportunity for women. It's actually because of increased standards. It's actually because of lowered social, boundaries, essentially. There's a lot of factors. Obviously, I didn't touch on all of them. But yeah, there's going to be a sense of coping. And then the fourth part of, grieving is depression. As of late, I would say the past 6 months, honestly, I've been there. And it's just been genuinely because I'm just coping. I was just coping and bargaining, if I just lose some more weight, then I know for sure, I'll get matches on Tinder. Oh, if I just make a lot of money, I'll get matches on Tinder. And, none of that even worked. So, since that didn't work, it really messed me up mentally. I was on edge, and just fighting that, and not even fighting it, just trying to survive, really. At times almost not surviving, really, truly. But yeah, it's definitely difficult to bear with the hard reality. And the destiny that God gave you, essentially, or the destiny that you were handed to, whatever you want to believe. It's not an easy thing to come to terms with. There was times where I had a gun to my head and, wanted to end it all. There's times where I'm laying in bed and don't want to do anything, right? There's times where I can't even think. There's times where the only thing that's keeping suicidal thoughts out of my head is grabbing a bottle of liquor. And yeah, that's just life. That is just life. And there's really nothing you can do. At that point, you're coming to terms with the harsh reality of what's going on. And there's really no hope. There's really no it's getting better moment. It's only really getting worse. So what are you supposed to do? And that's the thing. There really is no answer to that. There is no what you're supposed to do necessarily. It's really just, here's your life. You do what you do with it, and that's up to you. Unless you derive some sort of higher meaning from it, which I would say that's case by case for each person. And that's good if you do. But outside of that, there's really not much. It's really just downhill. Once you get to a certain age, it's basically over. And of course, that leads into the final stage, the fifth stage of grief, which is acceptance. Yeah, and as of right now, as of today, that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I've came to a sort of acceptance, but it may change, honestly. It very well may change. because I think depending on various factors, you can kind of cycle through all of these, depending on the severity of certain situations and what you're doing and what's going on. You can kind of cycle through denial, anger, coping, depression, and acceptance. At least for right now, it's okay. It's really not that big a deal. Basically, fully accepted that it's over for me and that I'm an Inkwell, and um, I would say the good part is that it feels good in the way that, like, kind of a pressure has been lifted off my shoulders. Like, I don't have a certain expectation I feel like I have to meet anymore, which is getting a girlfriend. Like, if I can fully accept that I'm an Inkwell, like, it's never gonna happen. So it is what it is. You know? Um, and that's pretty much life. And now I can kind of just do whatever I want to do in life, and I live with my copes, and I have some copes that actually the depression was making it impossible to do, and that just like made the depression worse because I was not able to like do the copes that I like the best. So um now I'm back to doing that, and it feels great. So that's kind of where we're at with that. um I'm like a work cell. I like working as a cope, if that makes any sense at all. I just, I mean, it's part of this YouTube thing too, just like pushing out content. It's, this stuff takes work, even though it's very low budget. It's still kind of work, and I enjoy that, and I'm doing some other things as well. And I think that that's probably just the best approach for me to do, and the best thing for me to continue doing is just to like be a work cell and just use work as a gig of cope, and just keep doing that, because I feel like when I'm kind of working and focusing and doing stuff, I feel like that's when I'm my most happiest. And when I'm not doing that, I just feel not good or not fulfilled. So I don't know if anyone else is kind of like that. I feel like it's not the most common, attribute, but I feel like there's probably some guys out there that are like that. Um, so that, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that.